Hello, am I here? I don't know, this thing looks funny now. I messed with it. 1 second, I'm just gonna go grab a hat. Okay, let's try this again. How are you guys doing tonight? Hi, Paula. Gathering, I think you told me your name last week and I don't remember what it was. I am sorry. Hi, Bree. Hi, Nate. I was gonna say, you guys are awesome. And of course now Charlie decided to jump up right behind my computer. Okay. Shall we say hi to Charlie? How are you guys doing tonight? Yes, hi Nate's mom. Feel free to join in. Okay. They don't want to see your butt. Okay. So, how are you guys doing tonight? What's up? Having good days? Hi, Bev. Hi, Gathering Within. Can you remind me what your name is? And while I'm waiting to find that out, I am going to come over here. I really wish... Anyhow. All right, so my weekly water update. I did miss it one day, like completely. I think I got maybe a cup and a half of water in. Today, I was, and I went ahead and added blueberries, and I did okay with that. So hopefully that works okay. I did wind up with some heartburn afterwards, but I also downed it in like 3 cups worth of water in like 20 minutes. So I don't know if that was just due to speed or what the deal was with that. So anyways, that is my water update for today. So the topic for tonight is preparedness. And I suppose it's kind of fitting that I'm not prepared. I was, and it wouldn't cooperate. So I guess I'm going to go old school. And just share my screen and do it that way. All right. Of course, now I have to figure out how to do that again. All right. Whee! All right. View, present. Okay. Since that is still doing that, I am going to pull this up real quick so I can see chat, maybe, hopefully. All right. Hi, Dallas. How are you doing tonight? No worries, Bev. I was gonna say last week I kind of liked it because I could interact in chat more because I had kind of done this part of it in advance, but it didn't get uploaded in time. So I'm just gonna do it this way. All right. So what does it mean to be prepared? And I guess in my thought process, it has changed over the years. And that as I've been going through things the last year, I've noticed that when most people talk about prepping or preparing or being prepared, it's always like emergency preparedness. It's, hey, no fighting. It's what if there's a flood? What if there's a tornado? What if there's a hurricane? What if, the world comes crashing down? And it is one thing I've thought about because, when I was first dealing with fibro and stuff, at that point, one of my main things that I started doing were not great at that point, but I started shopping once a month because I didn't have the energy to go into the store. I mean, I told you guys that a couple weeks ago too, I think. So I had to be prepared to feed myself and 2 kids without going to this. Knock it off. I need to find a way to be prepared for doing lives and not have cat fights in the background. But anyway, so I probably hadn't really thought of preparedness otherwise until, I don't know, either my kids were in Scouts or until I started working I thought about it a little bit when they were in Scouts, but I think even then it was more of the preparedness type situation. So when I started working at the casino, the idea of being prepared became a little bit different. First of all, I started reading books about working in a kitchen. And one thing always seemed to be, I'm trying to think. I know the one book. Sorry, I'm trying to see it on the thing. It looks like the name of the one book is Sous Chef, and it's this guy as he kind of like goes undercover at this culinary school, and when they're just expected to be prepared for their classes for whatever. It was kind of the same way with the kitchens. The kitchen I happened to work in, it was always going to be the first one to open and the last one to close, because it was the high roller room. And so if they couldn't have any other restaurants open, they would funnel those guests through our kitchen. Our venue. They didn't come in the kitchen. But it was one of those things that you just kind of learned to be prepared in a little bit different way. So what does prepare mean? Make something ready to use or the one I'm probably more focused on is making someone ready or able to do or deal with something. So to prepare something in a kitchen sort of an instance, often you might think, okay, I'm going to prepare a dish to be served, or the example that kept coming to mind was prepping cucumbers. We did that a lot because we weren't getting the support from some of the other areas of the kitchen. We were basically absorbing our own prep work. But so, we would take whole cucumbers and slice them down to get them ready for the salad bar. Now, when I say we would do that, most people in a household type situation, they're going to do 1 or 2 cucumbers. Yeah, we would do a half a case of cucumbers at a time. And we would go through the vast majority of those before any of them went bad. Emergency preparedness versus life preparedness. I do think they're kind of 2 different things, even though they kind of blur in some ways. So, for instance, food storage. Saturday was the 1-year anniversary of the first video I posted on here, which was kind of cool. But it was all about low histamine food storage. And I started doing food storage when my finances were not really doing well, and I couldn't go shopping on a regular basis. And I do think that had me a little bit more prepared than people when last spring hit. Mainly just because it does take a little bit of a mindset shift to eat out of the pantry instead of whatever you're going to be shopping for that day or that week. Now, that's sort of an everyday use for emergency preparedness, but life preparedness, in my opinion, it looks like laying your clothes out the night before. Or, since I don't actually do that, designing your wardrobe so that you can just grab the next thing on the stack, because not all of my teenager habits were bad. Hopefully I wasn't like totally looking all wonky too many days, but jeans go with pretty much everything, and that's pretty much what I wore. So I kind of do the same thing now. I do have 1 pair of red capris, and they wouldn't match the wine colored tank top that I have. I'm looking over there because that's where my closet is. Sorry. But so some of those little things I think can help be more prepared in everyday life and make life easier. So this concept, I kind of think of it in terms of old me helping out current me, or current me helping out future me. So this winter, you guys know that I was starting on the minimalist game and doing some major decluttering, or at least getting that started. And that really has helped out current me, because even if I have a bad day now, it's so much easier to get things back in check afterwards. And kind of working through some of not just the clutter and getting that out of the house, but working through some of the habits that I've been telling you guys about in my short series lately, getting those more in tune and happening regularly. It just helps me be prepared in case I do have a bad day and something drops, or, I'm just not putting out fires all the time. And that really helps my stress levels, and lowering stress levels also helps keep my symptoms in check for all of the health crap. Because, well, otherwise I would have to be constantly dealing with that. So there are some other ways that old me has helped current me. Stuff like taking the time at the beginning of the situation last spring to actually do some research and learn more about what's going on, so that I had some clue, and as I moved forward, I could do things like stock up on vitamins and supplements. So now, I just noticed this morning that I'm about out of my peppermint capsules. So is that a problem? No, not really. I just need to make sure in the next week I take the time to actually make some more capsules, because back in the, I don't know, it was probably late fall, early winter, I ordered another bag of peppermint tea. So just kind of thinking about what can happen to kind of move that forward, I think is really helpful. So how can current me help future me? So some ideas I have had that have actually been working pretty well. I seem to have a little bit more time on Wednesdays, based on my current production schedule and everything, to do some more housework type chores. So I guess today would be Monday me, but Tuesday me will probably be making sure that my hands are full every time I'm walking back and forth in the house, which might sound a little strange, but what I've found is if I'm going to be cleaning, and lately that looks like doing 5 minutes in each room, and picking one to do a little bit more in, if I'm going to do that, I can either spend that 5 minutes in each room picking up and taking stuff to other rooms because it doesn't belong there. But if my Tuesday me will pick things up on her way through, whether it's, the trash that's sitting here on the table and needs taken to the recycle bin, or, that kind of thing, I can get stuff picked up and put away on Tuesday without taking extra time to do it. And then at the same time, my Wednesday self will be able to grab the vacuum and vacuum an area instead of just picking stuff up and putting it away. Or wash the windows real quick and, I don't know, make a bed or vacuum under something. Just kind of whatever needs done in that space. So that's how current me is often helping future me. Another way, like today, I had to wait for the park guys to quit mowing the lot behind me before I could do a voiceover. And so that wound up being a situation where I could either sit here and do nothing or, find something to eat. I wasn't really hungry because I'd already been snacking. Just fiddle with my phone. Honestly, 6 months ago, I probably would have scrolled Facebook. I just turned on a video and I went back and started weeding the bed behind the house. So because I couldn't do the next step I've got some containers up here. You can't see this hand up there by the deck, that need dumped in there before I can plant. But I needed to weed that before I just buried the weeds in better dirt. That just didn't seem to make sense to me. So I've got that weeded, and then I can get a weed barrier down and more dirt in and get stuff planted. And it wasn't that I was planning on doing that today. But I didn't have time to mow before it was supposed to start raining. It never did, but it is what it is. But so those are some current ways current me would help future me. So what will you choose to prepare ahead? I know for me, as I've been looking at things in the last week, probably the biggest thing that I want to do is I want to get better at meal planning again. Or not meal planning, but meal prepping. I've been planning kind of what we would eat, but then at the same time, it's like when I was really doing well, I would cook a couple times a week on the weeks that the kids aren't home, and I would eat out of the freezer because I didn't have to think about it. And those meals would typically be probably more balanced, better quality food because, you know, if I'm thinking about it, I'm probably eating more ice cream or snacky stuff if I don't have stuff already made, because it's just easier than making something. So, what will you choose to prepare ahead? And I'm coming back over to chat. Hi, Danny. All right, so Dallas County Scratchers, I'm not sure I know your name from other chats either. I would like to get a Berkey or like something that I haven't gotten to that point yet. Nate, did they say anything about Titus? Did they know what happened with that? Why are you out in the rain? Hi, Ford Man. Live cat fights can be entertaining. Thanks, Nate. I would like my fur children to be well behaved on camera. Ay, ay, ay. Hi, Khadija. Within. I was going to say, Bev has, and this is one I was watching a couple of videos as I was editing today. And she likes to make freezer meals as well. And I used to do more, honestly, what I would do, I would take dump it in bags with like the seasonings and sauces. And I got away from that. I'm not sure why. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea for me to do now. And then I can just go ahead and freeze them in the bags. But preparing, because you know that every spring you get allergies and you're trying to recover from that, makes perfect sense to me. And hopefully you get better quickly. I know my son used to get bronchitis every spring too. I guess so did I. Yeah. I hate to say this, Bev, but it is a very important thing to do. I don't know so much about the banking information, although I'm sure my brother would have been very happy. I think they had worked that out beforehand, honestly. But I know when my mom passed 13 years ago, we had a business together and stuff, and I was trying to sort through all that because she had dealt with some aspects of it. And so when she passed, it was one of those things, all of a sudden it was mine to deal with because my dad couldn't. So, and it was very nice. I could go through her planner and she had the lists of passwords and banking information. Oh, Robert, totally get it. Isn't it the new favorite pastime? That scarf looks like it's made out of Samoyed fur. Oh, yeah, and I don't know. It looked cozy and warm. I found the image on Pixabay. Um, no idea. My crocheting self says it's probably like a really fluffy acrylic. Um, looks like Danny popped in. If you're still here or if you're back, hey, how are hopefully everything's going well. Hi, Michelle. Um, yeah, I was gonna say hurricane season's always and that's why it's like I kind of went down that rabbit hole of doing all of the emergency stuff. Like um hold up. So this was one of the books that I got when I and it's like I don't even know how I got into it other than I started researching food storage and stocking up that stuff, and it kind of bled into everything else. But one thing I like about the way she presents it, it's very kind of organized and it's sort of like a workbook. So you can go through and think about what fits well for your family. For instance, when I was having issues with fibro when the kids were younger and we were doing a month at a time shopping, one of the things, I'll take that off, sorry. One of the things that really helped was having those meals be very simple. That way, if I was fixing them and the kids had to finish them, which once I started having the dizzy spells and stuff, that was something that happened a lot. So I needed it to be simple enough that, an 8-year-old could figure out how to, and I mean, I could tell them what to do, but they had to be able to physically do each of the steps to finish that process. And so now they know how to cook. And a lot of my being prepared is making sure I have food in the house that they want to cook when they need to cook. It has been a total learning curve to grocery shop both in a week or two. Lately, I have been stretching it to 2. And also make sure my daughter has whatever she needs to cook for class. It's like, oh, I can't just do this and take care of it and deal with it. It's been a learning curve this semester. And I was actually kind of happy to hear my daughter started asking questions about what cooking classes they have and this and that. And I don't even know if that's going to be an issue, but it's like I know she wants to learn how to cook more. So I wound up, I think it was Thursday night, I had a friend that had given me a cookbook that is how to cook everything. It's literally this thick. She wound up making flan out of that. And like when she gets home, I know that they're making chocolate custard and she wants to make a lemon custard and no bake cookies. So it's like, I've got to make sure I've got all of those things in the house to do all of that. And normally I just kind of, as far as like my actual meal planning for the week, I just pick 6 or 7 things that I know we have the stuff in the house for and make sure that I have all the ingredients. Normally I only have to order 1 or 2 things to make those things happen. I'm sorry. Bev has a jam and jelly business and needs to prepare for this coming season. You've got some jam made, but admin stuff is total disarray. Yeah. And like my mom and we had a soy candle business. And we actually we would pour into jelly jars and stuff. And, I really hope you are doing okay and have been able to prepare some by finding lids and things, because that's one of those things that, at least around here, seem to be really hard to come by. Oh, wow. I couldn't do 20 minutes on a treadmill on a good day. Hi, Lisa. Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. So, Khadija, that's a perfect example of being prepared. I don't even think about thawing things the night before anymore, since I typically cook from frozen, but it makes perfect sense. Most people, if they're going to be doing things to be prepared for the next day, they do get meat out to thaw. Maybe lay out the clothes the night before, and I just decluttered enough. I can just grab things. It's been so long since I've had any pork chops. We are off pork at this point, so 3 months worth of food. Yeah, I don't know how long I have at this point. I probably have 3 months worth of meat easy, but I know I don't have, normally we order chicken every week to supplement the beef. And I would say between dry goods and freezer stuff and possibly some garden stuff, I would probably be able to make it 2 months. Just because we've kind of been eating down all of the things that shouldn't in our pantry at this point. And I am sorry. I feel like I'm yelling again. I'm trying to watch that. All right. Bev is asking, you try to teach and encourage your daughter to prep, stock up kind of thing, but she doesn't get the importance of it. She's married with children and doesn't get it. Was she on her own at the beginning of last year? Like when everything happened? I think a lot of times it's one of those things that there's usually a catalyst. Something happens that makes us understand why it's important. I watched my mom always have a stock pantry. And after she passed, my dad did not get it. He could not, for the life of him, figure out why she had 3 things of ketchup on the shelf. She couldn't or he couldn't figure out why she would buy so much of certain things. And it was because that's how much they used in a certain amount of time, or it would go bad because she would stretch the budget with the groceries. So if she didn't have quite enough one month, that was where she could pull from to make things work. I know for me, it was definitely a feeling like I needed to be the consistent provider. When my kid's dad and I split up, he was kind of bouncing around here and there and whatnot. And even though he had a more steady income, I felt like the place I needed to be more prepared. Well, and then at the same time, when we split up, I was pregnant with our daughter. So I moved out, and I knew even then that I would have to be without a job for a period of time, because I wouldn't get released to go back to work for at least 6 weeks. So maybe that kind of colored where I was always wanting to be prepared. I don't know. I was going to say, I mean, it seems like to some degree, a lot of people were kind of triggered last year that, oh, hey, you might want to stock up a little bit more, have extra toilet paper on hand, have more than a week's worth of food in the house. 100 lids for $20, that's awesome. A lot of times we can get sleeves around here at the Amish grocery stores, and they just don't have them right now. At least that's what I'm hearing. I haven't actually been lately. Yeah, and Khadija, that brings up a very good point. I kind of shifted. At one point, I was all about preparing for all of the different emergency situations, and then I started getting to back up. And at the same time, the more anxious I got, the more the walls were closing in. Because if I'm anxious and having issues, that's when I'm cocooning, I guess would be the best word for it. And somewhere in there, I shifted from, okay, I'm going to stockpile everything that we need, to how can I do this sustainably? And that's when I started kind of thinking more towards homesteading and growing some food and doing this and doing that. Or learning how to do this and that with more basic things than just like what I could buy at the store. I think I missed something. Yeah, stuff like that is kind of expensive to ship because of the weight. As far as it's always good to, I wasn't planning on getting sick after I had my daughter. And then it seems like, I don't know, I've stayed in so many jobs longer than I should have. And then even if I'm the one that quit, it's rarely ever like something I thought out for a long period of time. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that peace of mind that comes from knowing it's already taken care of. And that's something that, like my premiere tomorrow, I'm going to be updating 72-hour packs. I'll probably only do one of them on camera. um, but just knowing stuff that we need in there so that, I mean, we live in a trailer, so if a tornado hit, we can toss 72-hour packs in the car and take off, get out of the path of danger, because this trailer park doesn't even have shelters anymore. And we at least have a little bit of stuff to get us through until we land wherever we're going to land if something happens to the house. And I don't know, I've kind of always taken on, and don't get me wrong, their dad and I get along fine now. It's just been one of those things I always felt like I needed to be able to pick up the slack if he couldn't take care of something. And so I didn't want to ever be in that position where I couldn't provide, even if something happened and like I had the kids full time or, whatever. Her husband and 3 kids, I was able to live off what I had prepared. They were able to get groceries, but was limited what she could get. Yeah. It's one of those things that you really just, I don't know, you get in that mindset that you want to have everything you need when you need it. At the same time, you don't want to be wasteful either. Yeah, I was never learning even like how to cook when mom was around. Richard saying, here in Canada, it's always good to stock up because when people hear bad news, there are some people that, I'm assuming that that's supposed to say hoarding. Yeah. The last time or two, so in the last month and a half, is actually when I've seen a normal amount of toilet paper and stuff back in our grocery stores here. The store that I typically go to for water, it's still been, 1 or 2 packs of each type on the shelves or just completely empty spaces. So it's not like it just all of a sudden came back. You know what? That's one thing. My kids have learned how to substitute. And I didn't know before I started shopping once a month how to do that. And from an everyday standpoint, when you're doing that once a month shopping, you really learn what vegetables and things will keep. And like now, I use a lot of frozen stuff, but I would plan that, okay, I'm going to get some grapes and those need to be, but then, cabbage will last longer. Back then I wasn't eating cabbage at all because I thought I was sensitive to it. But, carrots last quite a while in the fridge and onions last quite a while. So you can still have some of those fresh things even if you're not gardening. But yeah, I mean, it's just nice to have some options. That's at that stage of the game, Bev, it's really hard to sort of think that way. And I guess that's where it's kind of, that gets back to the whole life preparedness versus emergency preparedness, at least in my mind, because getting meat out the night before is preparing for the next day. So, and like with my habits and things, so I don't really have a good bedtime routine per se because I don't have a lot of energy by this time of night usually to be doing, like, mentally, this is my time of day. But I don't have the physical energy by this point. So, like, I have my morning routine and I've got my afternoon routine. And I try to make sure that my afternoon routine, any tasks from the morning, and also anything that needs to be done before the next morning. So, like with the, if she's not thinking about dinner ahead of time, maybe you could have a conversation about, well, these are some things that you could do that are shelf stable, and so you could just make them really quick, or maybe an Instapot. So, I mean, that's one thing. I cook all of my meals from frozen because of my histamine issues. So I pull meat straight out of the freezer. It goes in the Instant Pot. It gets cooked. I add some things to it and it's done. I don't have to think ahead because I prepared when I was buying groceries for, okay, we're going to fix this and this and this. And here it is. I can just drop it in the thing and hit start. Yeah, it's definitely helpful to have things that you can access as needed. I never did well with freezer meals for some reason. Like, I do well, like for me, when I'm talking, I want to get better at meal prepping. It would honestly be cooking once or twice, and I would basically just cook the meals, individually pack them, and then portion sizes to heat up because I'm just feeding me. But it's like a lot of the freezer meals always seemed to be crock pot, and I didn't get along with the crock pot very well. Well, Bev, you know what? There's still hope. I mean, but it's different journeys. So, like for me, I didn't learn how to cook. I should have. But like growing up when we lived in Tennessee, we had piano lessons. We had taekwondo 2 nights a week. I don't even remember what we did the other nights. Mom would pick us up from school on her lunch break, and we would go to the church she worked at until 5-ish, sometimes later. And it was home or to wherever we needed to go. I think normally we went home and then went back into town. I'm not really sure how that worked. Another thing that might be helpful, if she's just not interested in cooking at all, or the Cook Once, Eat All Week cookbook teaches you how to kind of line up your tasks for meal prepping. It kind of it walks you through that process so that you can get your stuff done in a way that makes sense. And so, like, you might be chopping onions for 2 or 3 meals at a time and then putting them with the stuff for that meal. Yeah. And see, that's the way it was for us last year. We were, you know, a 2-can limit for any one thing often was what we were restricted to. I was going to say, I hate to say it, I think my dizzy spells in some ways were a blessing, because if I had been fine, I wouldn't have gotten my kids in the kitchen as early as I did. But it was one of those things, they had to help or they couldn't eat, and we all live on our stomachs around here. And that's one reason, you know, I haven't been willing to just give up and say, I'm just going to eat for nutrient value. I want my food to taste good. I want to like what I'm eating. And yeah, I mean, this gets back to that personal responsibility thing from a week or two ago, 2, 3, I don't know, whenever it was. You know, she has to want, you can't control what she does. All you can do is set a good example. And if she has questions, be open to talking to her about it, and realize that maybe looking at it in terms of maybe a suggestion to set an alarm on her phone to remind her to get meat out for the next night might be helpful, because that seems less daunting. Taking 2 minutes to set an alarm on a phone is a quick, easy task that she knows how to do. It's not, there's no question there. It's not overwhelming to do that. And then that will remind her to do something that prepares her for the next day. Make sure you remind her that you think she's amazing. Because, yeah, I mean, it's hard. Yeah, raising kids in general is hard. So and I don't know, when my kids were little, and I know some of you guys are new around here, so you haven't necessarily seen my kids pop in and out occasionally. My kids are 15 and 7. So I'm not at that point where they are completely reliant on me. But it's one of those things where the things that we worry about just change. Just change. And the Minimal Mom did a video on Sunday with her mom and her sister talking about mom. I think that is, or it was a video, because it was kind of a reminder that hindsight's 2020, and everything, as long as we're doing our best to make the best choices we can in the moment, that's really all we can do. And there's always going to be something that we're questioning if it wasn't the right thing, or there was something we could have done better. We all have our options to choose from, but we don't always know what all of the options are. And of course, this is, can I mute this before it starts playing? Mute, okay. And that's one thing, it's like, I lost mom at 25, and my dad, I was 35. And so that's one of those things. Sometimes I wish stuff had been different, but some of the things that have happened as a response to the things that I wish I had changed, if that makes any sense. So have a great night, Michelle. I think I am actually going to get off here because I am actually past when I am normally off. But for those of you that are wondering, Karen is not going live tonight. She did send me a text message earlier and said she wouldn't be on. So I did put the link in chat for that Minimal Mom video. If you want to go check that out. And, you know, hopefully each of you guys can find something in everyday life to be a little bit more prepared on this week. Hi, getting started on the homestead, and goodbye. Hi, DJ. Taught you guys how to sew, knit, crochet, farm work, and cooking. Nice. I was going to say, I did learn how to crochet. That was what I did the summer I quit smoking the first time. And like when we were little, Mom had gardens and stuff, but not a lot the last honestly, she had gardens until we were probably 6 or 7. And then we didn't do much after we moved. Yeah, I have never been able to manage knitting. And I have found that I am not great at teaching my daughter to crochet, even though she wants to. So, well, thank you for coming by, Richard. It has been great talking to you. I don't know what the topic for next week is going to be, so we'll play that by ear, and hopefully I will get stuff done earlier, so I can kind of be more present in chat. But have a great night, everybody. And yes, it does seem like a lot of people are canceling this week, DJ. I don't know if it's the holiday or just getting into like summertime. I know people have started going camping more. I don't know. So yeah. So I will let you guys go. Make sure you go check out that video if you are interested in that. Fair warning though, their Sunday videos do have a sort of a Christian bent if that is not your thing. I totally understand. I'm not Christian either, so it's one of those, if you don't like that part, they do tend to keep it towards the end and talk about the other stuff at the beginning. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 2 for my premiere.